All right, guys, we are live. Dan Wise over at my Wise Media Group, not Mize Media Group, Wise Media Group. And today I've got some awesome guests in the house. We're going to be talking about empowered leadership, an awesome event coming up with Cara Wilson, Anna Empey, and Laura Flores. So welcome, guys. How's everybody doing today?
Awesome. Hi, Dan.
Doing great.
Thanks for having us.
So this is going to be a fun one. And I don't know who wants to go first, but whoever wants to go first, whoever says I first gets to go first. Okay.
I'm taking it.
So go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit who you are, Cara, where you're from, what you do, and tell us a little bit about why you guys are sitting here in my studio today.
That's fair. Okay, so I'm Cara Jean. I am an executive coach. That's the job. My work is with people. The work that I do makes people simple. Not easy, but simple. And my big dream is to build an eco-village around a STEAM university, because building a small farm wasn't enough. I want an entire city. Dream bigger, go home. But just kind of why we're here in the studio is that we sat down together as a group and were brought together through another friend and said, y'all should work together. And we said, okay, well, what if we did work together? What would that look like? And within 45 minutes, we had outlined an entire map of what we ought to do and how we could market and what kind of branding. We were like, oh, okay, well, all of us have been in big boardrooms and meetings before and have never seen that kind of speed. And it has been that amazing ever since. We have discovered that the more clarity you have, the easier it is to align, and then the easier leadership is, period. So we thought, well, we've spent lots of money, time, and energy learning all of these lessons the hard way. It could be good to share those so somebody else doesn't have to do that.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff. Anna, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you
Yeah.
do, and how you're a part of this awesome group as well.
I mean, you might need a lot more than 10 minutes for that, but it's cool. So who am I? That is such a great question I ask myself every day, but I'll tell you who I am right now. So I was born on a farm or orchard out in Basin City, Washington, or Mesa area. Who knows if Basin City is a real city, but we'll just leave that there. And so I went through and got my degree in anthropology, which is about understanding what makes people a person and what makes a human being. And I got my minor in communications and marketing. And my plan originally was to go and become a doctor. That didn't work out. So I switched my career path and have been working in that. Been an entrepreneur my whole life, going to farmers market since I was about 5 or 6, selling that fruit from the farm really taught me these skills that I have developed now. Spent years and years working for other people. And about 4 years ago, I started Business Inspired Solutions because I wanted to help people make a difference with people. And that means good business practices, good marketing, good messaging, good processes and systems. And so what really got me connected with Cara and Laura, I just started to see, hey, there's some other people who understand the challenges that people face, and why not collaborate with people? My passion is making a difference for other people. I'm very motivated by service and serving others. Maybe that was the way that I was raised, but it's also just something that fills me up, taking care of the people around me and creating communities that take care of me too, right? That's a whole other ball game. And I believe that's actually what life is about, being seen and seeing others, being heard, being acknowledged, being valued for who you actually are. So that's what I help people do, whether that's making a business plan or a website or doing your marketing. But it looks a lot different when we're working with Cara and Laura here, because what we're doing is just showing up and teaching people and empowering them to actually discover who they are and who they want to become, and giving them the tools so that they can do that a lot quicker, which makes me super excited. So that's in a nutshell. It's a big nutshell. But here I am.
That was the short answer, guys.
That was a short nutshell.
So last but not least, we have Laura Flores with us. Laura, how are you doing today? And tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm doing great today because I'm with these fine ladies. So I a little bit opposite of Cara and Anna, worked in corporate world doing human resources for years, practically my whole career, different businesses. So just recently come on my own, founding and CEO of Ignite Consulting, where I do HR consulting, but more my bread and butter is the training and development piece. So that's what excites me. The reason that I do that is kind of like what Anna mentioned, is when you see someone, you give them little tidbits of what you went through, epic failed, how you got better, so they don't have to fall through that. And you give them the confidence to do that themselves. They go out there and they're like, oh my God, Laura, I did this. It was great. That fills my cup right there. So that's one of the reasons that I like to do this, empowering people to just know that they have it in themselves. They just need to, tweak little things or grow in a certain area, and just get that confidence that they need to be better leaders in whatever. So leaders is about peopling, and it's all about peoples. So when you have to people, that's the important piece, where how do you communicate with them? We do a lot of things on communication. I do a lot of things on leadership. Crucial conversations is what's asked on the most to do, because people have a hard time having those difficult conversations. So that's where I like to coach and guide and empower people to be like, you got this, you could do this. Let's practice that. Let's do it. And it might suck the first time. You might suck a little less the second time. And eventually you're going to be pretty decent at this, to where you're just an amazing leader. And that's why I do what I do. The really cool part is now doing it with Anna and Cara. We take pieces of everything that we do, and they take whatever that they need at the time that they need it and move forward, as better leaders, as better entrepreneurs, as business owners. So really excited to share that.
Well, it sounds like you guys got some cool stuff to offer here, and you got an event coming up. We've got this cool little link on the bottom of the screen here with an early bird special. So tell us, who wants to talk about what this is and what people should expect at your event? When is it? All of that good stuff.
No nose goes.
We'll go in a Cal order, right? So
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what to expect. One of the things that we found really struck everyone as a takeaway is the reality that it's all exactly the same in a completely different kind of way. So people are mostly the same, but everything that we do starts with ourselves before it works any. So it's I say me to we, right? It has to work with me first so that I can work with other people. And that's true with your leadership. That's true with your personal development. That's true with developing your business. If you want things to be aligned so that it moves smoothly down the path, you got to start with the clarity that you know first before you can move into alignment, before you can move into your leadership. And that's true at every level of your life. And we really help people with the tools, skills, and mindsets.
Who's the ideal candidate that who would benefit from going to something like this? Like, who's your target audience on this?
Yeah, I think anyone who's building a business, anybody who's been in business, anybody who's trying to grow a team or make a difference in the world, this training is going to help you just open up your eyes, see some new perspectives, and get some tools in your tool belt to actually help you figure out, what do I need to do to empower the people around me, right? Being an empowered leader is also empowering others to become leaders. I think that's something not a lot of people talk about, but the approach we're taking here is, we're training you and we're teaching you, but it's also more like an open-ended conversation and a discussion where you're going to discover something, you're going to learn something for yourself. So if you're a growth-driven individual and you want to be better at these skills, you want to become a better version of you, or maybe you're not even sure what does it mean to be a better version of me? That's who we want. We want to help support you so that whatever you see you're up to, you've got the skills and the support to go and create that and have that actually exist in the world for yourself and the people that you care about, whether that's your team or your customers or your clients. Really going to be a powerful event. After the first one, we all walked away and we're like, wow, we all got so much. Like, we knew we were going to get a lot, but we all learned so much just from working with each other. So yeah, get ready for the next level. If you want to come, we would love to have you.
So Laura, let's say you come from the corporate world.
Yeah.
And let's say Dan Wise is like, I'm a business owner. I see this ad running. I've been running my business for 10 years. What are they going to offer me that I'm not already doing myself? Why would I want to waste my money going to one of these events? What am I going to see from it?
Oh, well, you will definitely invest your money and your time with some really cool people with a lot of experience. So everybody comes from a different place. So like you said, Dan, I came from corporate, so I can come from that place. You have a team. You need to have some crucial conversations. You need to have some expectations. You need to really empower and recognize and appreciate your team. You got that perspective. You got the perspective on how do you do it me first. A lot of times I do trainings and their CEOs, they got MBAs, they've been doing this for 20 years, and sometimes they're the ones that need the most assistance, or sometimes it's more of a perspective, right? It's just, we've been doing the same thing for a long time. Let's get some different perspectives and really shake up what you can then grow. Anna said it earlier, if you have a growth mindset, like, why should I come to this thing? Well, let's see what else there was out there. Let's see what other perspectives we could do. Let's see what else success looks like that can really grow where I'm at right now. So even if you have your own business and you've been doing it for a long time, even if you've been a director or CEO for a long time, solopreneur, or if you're just leading a team, sometimes you're just leading a team and that's important enough. So it's worth the investment to get some of these tidbits and techniques to see how you can grow on a bigger scale to what it is that you want to grow to.
Yeah. I would say if you have ever said, this should be easier, this should not be so hard, I should be having more fun, you're right. And you absolutely know all of the things you need to do. And we're going to help create the space for you to figure that out. So it is easier. So you are having more fun.
Yeah, I also would say, like, if you feel like it's Groundhog Day in your business, like you're doing the same thing on a different day and you're kind of over it, or you're like, man, why can't I get this one person on my team to just do that one thing? Like, it shouldn't be that difficult. Then this is absolutely going to help you get some skills to get a little unstuck. Okay, maybe not a little, a lot unstuck. Okay, who likes Groundhog Day? I don't know anyone. The movie's great.
The movie's great.
But I think the lesson from the movie is that doesn't have to be your life as a business owner, even as a person, right? So this training is really going to help you get unstuck from that. Let's find a new way to do it so that you can actually wake up happy, or maybe just excited, or excited and like, oh wow, it's a new day. Sweet. Exactly. Engaged in your life and what you're doing.
Yeah,
and engaged and enabled.
Yeah, and Anna said it right, because this is all about entrepreneurs, leaders, business owners, corporate directors, whatever the case is, but it really helps you in your personal life. A lot of this inspiration, empowerment, enthusiasm comes from that. It doesn't have to be only that. I know that since the training that we did, I'm sitting there taking notes. I already reviewed them several times. And there's a lot of things that I use outside of business that happens just as a person, where just lights you up and inspires you to do something else, even outside of your business as well. So you don't have to be an entrepreneur, a director, a CEO. You can just be a human that wants to lead in their world. And I think that's awesome.
Now I see the price here is very affordable. So this is not just for like mega wealthy individuals. You get an early bird special here of $299. So let's say you got somebody that's a brand new entrepreneur. They're just launching their business, and you know, everybody's kind of maybe been through the phase before where they're starting a business and they spend all this time and energy on like the perfect business card. They spend all this time and energy on the perfect website, the perfect logo. But then they're like, why the fuck am I not getting any business? And you ask them, well, who's your target audience and how are you actually bringing them through the gate? You can have the best website in the world, but if you don't have some good bait on your hook. So is your event going to also cover some of these skills and assets of what somebody needs to do that's actually practical versus flashy business cards?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, we talk about like
break it down, Anna.
Yeah, I will break it down. I'm gonna just throw it on the table.
Let me get my notepad though.
Yeah, Laura.
We're dropping some gold nuggets,
I love
guys.
it. Yeah, there's
get your
some
voice
gold
recorder
nuggets.
going.
So like when you're in that position as a business owner, you sometimes feel like maybe you're in desperation. And what's so cool about this event is we're gonna really help you see like what is it actually to get out of desperation and move into abundance and stepping into what you want. One of the things I'm really talking about a lot about is like the formula to make an offer. And I'll just give you a little gold nugget right now. And that is really that pretty much anytime you ask someone for anything, you're making an offer. So if I'm like, hey, Laura, do you want to go and eat this amazing Mexican food with me? And she's like, heck yeah, that's an offer. So just asking a question and wanting something in return. So I give you the formula in the training that breaks down how to make a more powerful offer. that helps you get more of what you want, which in return typically will convert into bottom line sales as you're practicing that, and you have more confidence to say, hey, this is what I'm up to. You want to come and join me? Yes or no? And you're also going to strengthen your ability to just say, heck yes, this is what I'm doing. Come with me or don't. This is my pathway. This is it. Let's do this. A couple other things I get into is a little bit about the environment of your business, which absolutely contributes to whether you're successful or not. So I love that you asked that question, Dan, because we will definitely get into some of the meat from that, and you'll have some clarity, particularly from the stuff Cara's doing, which I'll let her talk about, on where you need to focus first, which can be really overwhelming when you're starting a business or you've been in business for 8 years, right?
Yeah. Oh, so thing that is known.
That was a great segue. That was a great segue, by the way, Anna.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
This is why the magic of alignment works, folks. Oh, hey.
Uh-oh.
But okay, so we've heard the saying, if you build it, it will fill. That only works for rooms in your house. That's a thing. In your business, you can build a website, you can build the platforms, but then you have to do a thing. Right? You have to be full enough to overflow and then refill. You can't fill an empty vessel. So we really work into that. We work into, where are you already an expert? So my favorite question I love to ask everybody is, in your business, in what you do, who is the person who has been doing your business in your life the longest?
Absolutely us, ourselves, right?
So if you want an expert at what exactly is the right thing to do, who's going to be the best expert?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, though? And I'll let you answer that, Anna. And it's actually, the camera's on you guys. So
Okay, great.
what do you guys think about when you talk about experts, though? Because I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Timothy Ferriss, 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh, yes.
Where if you're really good at sales, and maybe you don't want to spend all of your time on the minor details, even though the minor details are where kind of a lot of the work gets done. However, I would rather somebody do a lot of the minor work, even if it's not going to be as good as what I'm doing. I'd rather somebody working at like 50% capacity, 80% of my own capacity, because then it allows me to really focus on where my wizard skills fall in. Is this stuff you guys go over? Because you're going to get people, business owners, that are going to be so headset on, they have to have their hand in everything, to where sometimes nothing ends up getting done.
I think each of us hit on delegation and what benefits as well as challenges come up in that arena. Yes. Yeah, because that's real. I'm going to use an analogy right now. I call it the sock analogy. So I hate folding socks. I don't know why. It must be a childhood trauma thing. I don't know. I hate folding it. Just think, did you hear it? Like, it irritates me. My husband enjoys it. For him, it's like tying a little fancy bow on a finished product. He like tucks them in and he wraps them KonMari style. Like, he loves his socks. He loves to roll. And that just seems like the craziest thing to me. Whereas my husband hates to put away the dishes. He has no problem washing the dishes. He has no problem loading the dishwasher. But then the work is done and he has to put it away. And that part irritates. I think it's like tying a fancy bow. Put the thing back in its place, right? Everything in its place. So I no longer have to fold socks because somebody else loves doing that. I hate it and they love it. My husband no longer has to put dishes away because he hates it, but I love it. And that is, while a reference to a personal experience, 100% true also in your business. Somebody out there loves to do the thing that you never want to do again. And if you let them do that thing, they may not do it exactly the way you would do it, but it's probably better because they're having more fun.
And doesn't that also lead into where you have, like, you've got the higher ups in organizations, and you've got people that are doing a lot of the stuff that either you suck at, you don't want to do, you're not good at, you don't have time for, whatever your reasons are. But then the underling doesn't really get the appreciation until they walk off and go somewhere else. And you're like, well, I'll hire somebody else to do it. And maybe you're not hiring somebody that had the same passion for it. So how important is it to really let the people working with you know how important they are to the team?
Yeah. That's kind of where I come in sometimes on the leadership, leading by example, but it really talks about communication and your team. If you don't make it very abundant, and sometimes there's a stat out there where we think that we do a lot to appreciate our team, the employees that are doing those things that we don't like to do. Like Cara said, I hate spreadsheets. Can you please do this spreadsheet? And you're like, great, I need this, I need that. And you never tell them like, hey, that's badass. Like what you do is 10 times better than if I did it myself. You're faster. Like if you're not appreciating what they do on a regular basis, because as a leader, you think like, that's what I pay you for. That's your job. That's what you're going to get. And you're absolutely right. They are going to go somewhere else. You're going to get somebody here that's going to be just there for the paycheck.
So you're saying they need more than a pizza party, Laura?
More than a pizza party. Yes.
Man.
The reviews that we do once a year, we're going to need a couple more than just that one time a year. If we think about ourselves, like we just talk about starting with us first, what is it that we need? Our basic need is validation. Hey, you're doing awesome at this job. Keep it up. And sometimes the conversation gets tough. Maybe they're not doing awesome. There's a couple things they need to adjust. Have a true, honest, respectful, because I care about you conversation. And you could just sky's the limit to the things that they can do. But sometimes leaders forget that that's important. They're the ones making your business happen. And if you don't treat them like they're the ones making your business happen, then they're going to go make that to somebody else. And you're going to get stuck with the ones that you dread having conversations with because they just become awful. So that's the important piece. You gotta, if you're going to delegate, if you're going to use your team, you got to make sure that they understand how valuable, important, and appreciated they are, because you're going to get so much more in return in a genuine way. We're not checking boxes like feedback, check, review, check, told you were awesome, check. Yes, we definitely have to do it genuine.
I gave you your job description.
Yeah, what
Check.
else we got to do?
I mean, it only has half the things you actually do on it, but it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And what I've been knowing with clients and stuff is people will bounce. They're out. They're not going to tell you. They're going to leave you hanging, because that's exactly why I've seen the last few people. Oh my God, I have to recruit this position because this is what happened. And I'm like, man, should I appreciate, like, they were awesome. How did you lose that person? You know, so it really, truly is important to make sure that they understand leadership is peopling. And that's exactly what you have to do. Communicate with them, give them that feedback, positive and negative, grow them, empower them, inspire them. And the bottom line for you just happens as an indirect result.
Yeah. So you mean if people want to like help their team feel appreciated, they should probably send them to our event?
Yeah.
Love it.
Developing people to get more skills so that they can like be on your team, so that they can actually like care about the things you care about, see your perspective, like actually getting supported to be developed instead of, you know, not that I had that ever happen in my experience, shamed for growing and learning or taking the time away from work, but actually helped me be better at my job. Yeah, that's super important. I mean, that's like a culture, or kind of what I talk about, like an environment where you're actually filling and nurturing the people who are like what you're saying. They're giving you the fruit. To put it in the apple tree analogy, you'll know a lot more about what I'm talking about when you come to our event. But really, that's like exactly what you're saying. It makes so much sense to me. I also think that it's not that people don't want to work. They just don't want to work in crappy environments. And that's something I think we all should just maybe acknowledge a little bit more. Like, what am I creating for the people around me? And that's, I mean, it takes some courage to be responsible for the environment that we create for our teams. But we actually are. We can actually make it better for people and ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so all about the practical tools. So if you want a really good book on this, and I'm not talking like a big, thick, deep read. I mean, this is a toilet book that you'll finish through like 4 poops, okay? It's a quickie.
I know, that tells me the perfect length of time it's going to take.
I'm just saying, right? Transparency and coming as yourself. These are important things that we will talk about. So it's called Whale Done. It is written by the trainers of Shamu, the orca whale, because here's a real fact. If you work with 1,000-pound animal, you're not going to whack it on the nose because it did the wrong thing and then also get in the water with it. That's how you die. That's how you die. So they wrote this really great book about positive reinforcement and how do you go about redirecting rather than reprimanding. So if you want a real quick read that addresses that exact question, and which we will then deep dive into, check out Whale Done.
Now,
Good to know.
earlier before we got started, Anna, you were talking a little bit about where you came from, the job you're at, and kind of how it spun you into where you are now. And a lot of people are coming from those same type of areas where they're mad, they're angry, they felt like they were mistreated, they weren't given the credit that they were deserved, and they almost becomes like a negative spot in their mind where really, if it wasn't for some of that negative, horrible shit, you might still be sitting at that same boring job, not getting the respect. So how important is a mind frame to realize that what you're what you're going through, focusing on the positives and kind of realizing that we can all find negative shit all day long if we look at it. You can be in prison and go, oh, this sucks, but you can be in prison and find something beautiful about it. How do you get somebody's mindset? Because it's not just telling somebody you need to be more positive. What are tools that you guys use?
Just tell them, do it.
Tell
do
that
it.
to any woman. Calm down. It works. That's not Dan.
Be happy.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm definitely being very
smile
cautious of
more.
what I say over here.
Poor
No,
Jan's nervous.
Dan, I love your question, and I'm actually just going to tell you some pieces of myself that are related to kind of that story. So I worked with a bunch of different small businesses, wearing tons of hats, right? Like, sure, I started in marketing, but really I was also helping sales and building CRMs and running events and marketing events and doing all the in-person meeting people. Also in like most of my career, now we're getting personal with Anna. It's great. I was in the closet. And I was also raised Mormon. So I was trying to figure out my faith, my identity, all these things while I had the pressure of a job that paid me like $12 an hour for over half my career. That's kind of where I sat. And, you know, I worked up, and I'm glad I listened to my dad's advice, which was, okay, once you get a job, keep looking for another job that's better. Because that's the fastest way to get a raise, because the corporate environment of will give you a review once a year. And if you perform at the level that, you know, sometimes felt really impossible, or they would move the bar, that was where it got really frustrating. And also I'm a kind of person where once I'm in something, I am all in. So I would stay too long. And I learned through all those things, one, the mindset, just because that's the way I was getting treated didn't mean that that's how I deserved to be treated. Also, like once I passed, you know, a few $1 million into my career, you know, collectively for the organizations that I work for, I had to change the question that I was asking myself. So the question I kind of was asking myself was like, oh my gosh, like, how can I make it work? Staying. That was the question that I got really obsessed with for a long time. And that just kept looping me without any answers, because I did not have 100% control over the environment. I didn't have 100% authority to make the decisions or make the changes. I could just show up and do my very best. And oftentimes I left feeling like, damn, I'm still not good enough. This is still not good enough. So the question I started to switch to was, well, if this way isn't working, kind of the Groundhog Day thing, what do I actually want? And I gave myself permission and the freedom to go, oh, there's something better that could be out there. And I started to go look for evidence of other people doing things with my skill set. And I started to go, oh, there's a ton of other people doing it and they're crushing it. So if maybe they can do it, maybe I can do it. And that's where I also started to have to learn to love and accept myself, and actually like coming out and accepting that I was gay, and accepting that like I'm I'm a unique person, but also I'm not unique at the same time, right? Like the challenges that I was facing was not unique to me. Everybody has these challenges or struggles they go through. So really saying, hey, if I actually love myself, want to take care of myself, want to be alive in 5 years, I got to start making some choices for myself and taking some new actions. And that is like a grueling process to coach yourself through. So if that's like something you're going through, get a coach, get some support, because I would not have made it without the other people that were supporting me, who saw me before I could see myself, who loved me before I could fully love myself. And that's something I practice every day, loving myself. But then also having the courage to go, hell yeah, I'm amazing at this marketing stuff, or I'm amazing at helping this other stuff. And if I could do it for other people, you can absolutely do it for yourself. If you've got the willingness to say, hey, I actually can do this. And it takes some courage to see yourself in the mirror for who you are. And actually, we're touching on a point that's part of the first part of making a good offer, which is knowing yourself, like seeing yourself for who you really are, not the way that people taught you were. Seeing like, hey, I am a badass. Hey, I do have these gifts. I can make a difference. And that starts from being who you actually are.
Well, let's stay on that topic for a minute. And since this is kind of like a free for all conversation, no fucking feelings get hurt today, right?
No, not at all.
So Anna, you when did you come out? How long ago?
Yeah, so I well, I have known that I was different since I was in about third or fourth grade. That's when I decided to go sit on the swings instead of chase the girls on the playground. It worked out better for me. And then it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realized, like, oh, this thing is not going to go away. And actually, like, I had a pretty big faith crisis about it. It's a long story. I'll tell you a little tidbit. But essentially, I fasted for 7 days because I was really ready for God to just take it away from me. And that's like where I was in my life at the time. And the answer that I got from God was, I'm not going to take this away from you. It is a gift. And so then I had to change the question to, what do you want me to do with this? And then it still took me a few years before I came out. So I came out, it was like 2014, 2015. And that's like when I told my parents, and I came out on Facebook in 2016. And I also left the Mormon church in 2017. So had to like go through lots of processes through that. But what it taught me is that like the dark is actually not that scary.
And I can obviously see it's the emotion as you talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it makes us all emotional listening to you talk about it.
Yeah.
But now you're not just somebody that came out with your sexual preference. Now you're a business entrepreneur who has to also mindfully be aware of not everybody's going to understand. So other people that are going through the same steps, not only are they coming out of the closet with their sexuality, but they want to maybe start a business, and they got to also overcome those mindful objections. Not because there's some truth to it. I'm sure there are people that judge you for it, but the reality is you're here, you're surviving, you're making a living. What advice would you have for somebody in your situation?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, one, if those people have a problem with who you are, those people aren't your people. Two, like in that process, there's something that someone said to me. I was actually at a corporate event getting ready to speak, and I was just barely out of the closet, and I was so stressed out. I'm going to talk to all these strangers, and I'm speaking at this event, and they're going to be able to tell because I had long hair that was down to my shoulders, and I had short hair. So, and how I dressed, you can tell with how I dress. I've just embraced that this is how I dress. I like it. I'm comfy. Y'all dress that way too.
We had no idea.
Surprise. Hello. But what this person said to me was, Anna, if you embrace that it's normal and it's normal for you, the people who act like it's not normal, they're the ones that'll just show you. And for me, it's just about really like loving yourself. Let the stuff slide off your back, right? Like my family is still very religious. They are still part of that faith tradition, and I respect that, right? And so understanding that love has nothing to do with agreement. Even business and my skills, we don't necessarily even have to talk about that stuff in my life if you don't want to. If you're having a hard time and you're going through something, I might talk a little bit about it. Also, my wife is my business partner, so you're going to know her. You're going to know it's there, but it doesn't have to be the thing that stops you from being successful and other people's opinions about you. And I think this is a good advice for anyone. It's actually none of our business what their opinion is of us. It's more important for us to know who we are and am I happy with how I showed up today? And if I'm not, cool. What can I do to be better next time or tomorrow?
Love it.
You did an amazing job not crying, I gotta say.
I did an amazing job not crying.
I was about to throw a roll of toilet paper at your head,
Well,
but you did good.
The thing is, we didn't talk about all the other stuff that's related to it, and there's a lot there. But
That's next episode.
yeah, apparently next episode. I like it.
Fuck, I'm never coming back to dance studio again.
Bringing tissues next time, you guys.
Well, but we talk, and we do touch on this in the training. We talk about that it is so ingrained in our nature and our habits to be thinking about what other people are thinking about us. But if you think about that, that means that everybody's thinking about themselves consistently, which we know, but you don't know until you know, and even when you know, you might not do it. #adulting. But we talk about it. So Anna addresses it, Laura addresses it. I'll share my way of doing it. There are two things in life. the things you can control and the things you cannot control. So if you let go of the things you cannot control and you focus on what you can, there are only 3 things in life. It's really that simple. There's the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you behave. And when you pull back your energy from all of the other things that you can't control, that you've been trying to control, and my friends, there is not enough duct tape on the planet. Okay, stop. Pull that energy back, and suddenly you're going to have boundless amounts of energy because you are happy with what you're thinking about you and the people around you. You're happy with the way you speak about yourself and the people around you. And you're happy with what you're doing with yourself and the people around you. And that's a game changer.
Yep. Well, and that's like building resilience for yourself, right? Like when you have that kind of resilience, I talk about this, you can step into what you're committed to rather than to some kind of outcome that you feel like you got to force or push, which actually in the long run makes you feel compromised, or you feel like other people aren't happy either. And then you just stay in the loop of never enough, never. Then you can play your little never enough violin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So how about each of you think about it for a second, and then I'll just randomly pick who's going to go first. What is probably the number one struggle that you dealt with as an individual going into the world of entrepreneurship and overcoming your own insecurity, where you had to try to show somebody else the walkway of doing that? And there must have been a bridge point where you were still insecure yourself, but you had to fake it until you make it, until you actually were that person. We're going to go, Laura, dive in.
All right. Well, Dan, I'm on that bridge right now.
I love the honesty.
I'm on that bridge right now because working forever since, I don't know, I was a little kid, grew up on a farm, the whole thing. Starting as a little kid, I'm picking cherries, I'm doing all these things. You have a high school job, you go to college, you got jobs. I've always worked in a corporate world where somebody else was in charge. It hasn't been 6 months since I've been my own entrepreneur. So that's what I'm saying. I'm on this bridge right now. But as soon as I got on this bridge, my first question is like, who am I? Like, why do I think I can do this? And who's going to listen to me? And it took only a few steps to be like, but why not me? There's a lot, Anna mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people in this space that are doing these things. I have the knowledge, experience, and all of that. Why not? And talking about mindset too is, if you think about it in your own way, like your own mind is telling you, can you do this? Can you not do this? And then you surround yourself, you associate with people that are like-minded. That's one thing that's really been helping me. So you got the naysayers, the people that you have to cut out. Love you, but I can't be listening to your opinions. That's your opinion. Where they're like, really? You should just get a job. You're making so much money and you got your benefits and blah, blah, blah. And, they mean the best, but it's not always there. So sometimes you start second guessing yourself. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should do that. I did great at that. But then you think about that. No, why not me? This is what I want. And Anna touched on it earlier. What is it that you want? Like, ask yourself the questions. What is it that you want? And how are you getting there? And luckily, I'm on that bridge. I'm like right at the top, looking down like, ooh, this is cool. And then just keep going. So that's the only thing I can share because I'm in that process right now. And the best thing I'm going to segue this. The best thing I can tell you is invest in your own development. Invest in your own development in the way that, like this training coming up, in the way where, if anything, at bare minimum, it's going to inspire you to figure out what it is that you want and that you're totally worth it and give you the confidence to move over that bridge. So that's my journey at the moment about crossing over to entrepreneurship.
Who wants to fire off next?
Okay, that's me. I got the nod.
The nod.
The nod.
You're
The slow nod.
So I would say I'm still on that path too. I have been doing the solopreneur thing for almost 4 years. I was doing the same thing that I'm doing as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur when I was in corporate America. So for me, it wasn't a huge transition, but there's so much newness all the time. So much newness. And a thing that changed for me was recognizing that was never not going to be true. You're never not going, if you want to constantly be developing, then you're never not going to be doing something new. And every time we do something new, it's going to put you back in the, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I don't know until I know what I need to know. And then I'm going to need to know something new. Right. So it often feels like you're chasing your tail around in a little circle, but from everyone else's point of view. And this is when I realized it's just about perspective and how just a tiniest perspective change can change everything. Mindset. It's not that you're just chasing your circle. That's what you feel you're doing, but everybody else sees you climbing a mountain and they see you escape. And yes, you're going to come back to that same thing that you got to deal with and unpack it at this new level. And so it feels like you're doing, but you're doing it at a new level each time because you're unpacking new layers to it. And when I realized that it's all the same, but completely different, it became less intimidating because I knew that there was going to be something new around the corner. But I also knew that I had just done new 6,722 times. And oh, shoot, I'm actually an expert at that because I have been literally doing it for the last 40 years of my life. Oh, okay. Well, I can give myself and everyone around me a little more grace on that. And I can just handle what the new thing is this time. That was my game changer.
Love it.
For me, I'm actually going to do some what a person on my team calls magic math. They're like, Anna, you do magic math. I'm like, what do you mean by that? They're like, well, you just run these numbers, and I learned something from the numbers. So,
I totally felt like she was going to pull open her phone and have lyrics, and she was going to start rapping.
I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing the magic math song. You know, that will be the third podcast, Dan. But the magic math I'm gonna do is. So I just turned 34. Whoo, yeah, I know. Revealing my age. HR compliance. Maybe not.
I didn't ask, so we're good.
We're good. Sweet. Just want to make sure. Okay, so we're going to times that by 365. So that's 12,410 days. And we're actually going to times that by 24 hours. So that's 297,840 hours. And I'm going to times that by 60 minutes. So I have made it through 17,870,400 minutes. I have actually made that to this moment here. And, you know, it's probably a little off because my birthday was a couple weeks ago. So there's probably a few thousand more minutes. But when I can see that, I can see that what's happening right now doesn't have to influence me 5 years from now. It doesn't have to be the thing that determines the future. Doesn't have to be the thing. So actually have more freedom to make mistakes and actually learn, because I don't, failing at something doesn't mean you actually can't try again. It's important you just get up and say, what was the lesson that I learned? And how do I make sure I keep that gold nugget with me so I can avoid creating more pain or suffering moving forward? So yeah, if I can make it through 17 million minutes, I think I can make it through 17 million more.
And that's
Magic
really
math.
That's well said, because that was kind of going to go into where I was going to go with this next. Is we all see these successful individuals that are out in the world. We're like, oh my God, how did they get there? What did they do? But we didn't see is all their, what we want to call as failures, that how they got there. And that's why part of this podcast is called Failure to Launch, because almost every successful entrepreneur, artist, rapper, I don't care what you are, if you're good at what you're doing, there's a chance that you have had a million businesses that never launched, a million videos where nobody watched them before you got to this point. But people are now only seeing the success, and it's very relatable to like bamboo. When you look at bamboo, we're like, oh my God, bamboo grows so fast. But when you plant the bamboo seed, it could take years before that first sprout happens. So where are you guys at in your journeys now? And this also leads to, when you come to pricing, what you charge people for things, you're like, oh, I'm brand new. I don't want to overcharge. I'm not as good as the guy that's been doing it for 10 years. And the reality is if you're not pricing your value at what your worth is, you end up getting people on board. And I can relate to myself as a prison consultant. I charge anywhere from like $7,000 to $10,000 now. But when I started, I'm doing it for $500, $600. And people are coming in like woodwork, but they have no real investment. They're no value. And they're the ones that complain. They want everything done at the last minute because they didn't see the necessary investment early on. So how important is when you have this workshop coming up, that people understand what their value is? And just because like Laura, it's only 6 months in the game, doesn't mean she only has 6 months of expertise in the area. So having the confidence in yourself, how do you portray that onto others so they can really understand and grasp those roots? That's a lot I just said there. Unpack that, motherfucker.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I know to be true. Really successful people, when you think of like super successful people, the odds are they're not thinking of themselves as super successful people. The conversation I have the most with everything from entrepreneurs to CEOs of big companies is they still see themselves as that 21-year-old bartender. They still see themselves as the freak in high school that nobody wanted to talk to. They still see themselves as the loser who didn't get it right, because we build those pathways in our brains. We talk about that brain science a lot. Oh, look, I said I was going to talk about epigenetics, and I just found a
Done.
epigenetics.
Guys, I didn't graduate high school. You keep using these big words like epigenetic. Epigenetic.
Schools,
I don't
Cara.
even know what that means.
I'd love to tell you about epigenetics. In fact, you can't stop me. So here we go. So we know about genetics. It's what you come with, right? It's what you were born with. It is the combination of things that go into your DNA that allow your eyes color, your skin color, your hair color, your size, weight, shape, all of that. But epigenetics is the study that it's not what you come with, but what you do with that matters, right? So in your brain, every time anything happens, there is a chemical and electrical reaction. This is known. Those reactions, though, that literal electrical signal can turn on and turn off parts of your DNA, just like you would a light switch, right? And the more you choose to do things, the more you create new pathways in your brain. Those pathways in your brain then create new neurons to communicate those electrical signals, which builds a stronger neural net. Lots and lots of brain science there, but essentially what it means, and we know this to be true, doesn't mean we remember it when we need it, but we know it's not what you come with, but what you do with. It's not what you started your business with, but where you take it. It's not the first thing that you do, but what you learn from that. It's not about the failure, but about the lesson that comes from that. So we now have a brain science that can study and show and track how it's not what you come with, but what you do with. Your choices matter because you matter, period. And learning that, recognizing that, and sharing that is the expertise. It is what allows, I call it your pet. So it's your passion, your experience, and your talents, right? The combination of those things. When you can accept that, you spend more time playing with your pets and sharing your pets, because who doesn't love their fur friends?
I do. So is that, so to me, to relate that to somebody like myself that maybe doesn't understand all of the science behind it, challenging your beliefs. If you come from an area where you're told you can't do certain things, you grew up in a certain way, and you believe this, and you challenge these beliefs. Why do I have to do things this way? And if you ask yourself, and you just force yourself to kind of think about it, challenge the belief, maybe I can, maybe I can't, but I'm not going to know if I don't try. Because there's nothing easier than saying, oh, why should I even try? I'm not going to make it anyway. You got the self-defeated thought to give yourself an excuse to not even pick up the pen and put it to paper. Because there's nothing easy about what you guys are doing.
No.
At all. Like, there's nothing easy about it. You guys are creating a business together that right now is in an infancy stage. You guys are working, you're brand new working together. You're still learning about each other, and there's going to be things you love, things you don't love, but you've got to pick up and use what you can. And I love how Anna came in. Anna came in this morning, and you could tell there's some reservation in Anna not wanting anybody to burn anybody, and Anna not wanting to get burnt. Doesn't want to cut off the creativity of flow. Now, that doesn't mean if Anna's idea fucking sucks, that Laura and Cara are going to be good enough friends to say, hey, we love you, and because we love you, we're not going to talk shit behind your back. We're going to tell you to your face that this is why the idea ain't going to fly. But and we all have to be open-minded to hearing those ideas and be able to give that honest feedback and say, hey, this is why I don't like your idea. It's not because I want to go with my idea, or why your idea is better than mine. And it's sometimes hard to get that to jive together. So Anna coming out transparent out of the gate out of that these are things I've been doing this for years now on the business side of it. And it's like, you see these things and they're important, or else you get to a point where there's no discussion and then shit goes sideways. And it's because the communication was never there. So where do you guys take this now? What's next? And, you know, how often are these events going to be happening? What's your plan for this, guys? Ladies?
I love it.
Currently discussing.
We were just talking about that. I get excited just working with these ladies because exactly how Anna came in, just vulnerable.
Can I be one of the
transparent.
ladies? I want to be one of the ladies.
Dan, you can
This
be one of
is
the
fun.
ladies.
You are
Honorary. But this is something that's worked out. I don't know why. Really easy. Just, I don't know if it's like a high emotional intelligence or what it is, but it worked out really fast. We all come with baggage, right? We all come with what people should. You know, I grew up Catholic, Mexican. So it's like, you know, don't talk back. You're going to be a wife and a mom, you know, and nothing else. And, you know, you're capped at this stigma to be, you know, Mexican in this country. Like there's a whole thing that you come with that you have to, like Cara said, break from those things and just keep moving forward, have that resilience. And one thing that happened with this particular group is that openness to be able to do that. So when you can have conversations with your team as a leader like this, hey guys, I want to do this, but shit, we can't get burned. Like, how do we make that happen? And just talk about very honestly, open, transparent, and vulnerable. That's where the magic happens. So for me, and we're still in the process of talking about it, is where do we want Cal to go? We call it Cal because it's Cara, Anna, Laura, get it, Cal. So we call it Cal. Where's Cal going to go? And at least what we've talked about is there's some big things in not just here in the Lower Valley, Tri-Cities Basin, in the state of Washington, even out there. Because I believe that, like you said, only 6 months in, a few years as an entrepreneur, whatever the case is, there's so much experience, history, stories that we can share that are going to help other people. And I think if we do that as a group, sky's the limit. So that's my take on Cal.
Yeah, I would say it's a way. We also call it clarified, aligned leadership, because that's really what we came to the table with. Is we came with clarity, we came with alignment, we came with that desire for leadership, that desire to work together and see what could happen without putting all of those previous expectations that really are just like giant rocks that hold you down. We said, but what if? And we continue to do that. So what if we took this internationally? What if we took this to the internet? What if we took this to your business? What could we do rather than here's what we should do? And that's a whole different conversation. We as a trio have recognized, look, trauma and drama, that's just going to be a natural byproduct of being a human being. If you have experienced trauma and drama, congratulations, you're a human. Oh, and all three of us are down to normalize that. We're down to normalize, like, that's going to be a thing. So stuff is going to happen and you're going to feel a kind of way about that. But if you don't say something, then that's a kind of way in your head. And I don't know what's going on in there. My ESP is just not that high. I apologize. You're going to have to say it out loud, but I'm here to hear it.
Yeah. I love it, Cara. And I think one of the things
and as you talk about it,
yeah.
Also, when you finish up, tell people how they can find you, where you're at, and then we'll circle back around to you guys.
Cool. Great. Yeah, I think one of the things that makes what we're doing unique is like we all came with the idea of like, what does true collaboration look like, where we're not putting each other in boxes. And I think that's also why we have the ability, why I could come here and just say, hey, like, yo, we need to have this conversation before we get on this podcast. And that's actually like my commitment to alignment and my commitment that one of my core values is like that I don't do things that actually hurt other people. I do not want to hurt other people intentionally or unintentionally. I still do. I'm absolutely human. That's the human part you're talking about, Cara. But inside this collaboration, it's been so easy because what's there. We just look at what's so. And I feel like we aren't in all this other BS or the assumptions that you could make. We're just focusing on, well, what am I here for? And what are we here for? And that's the part that matters. And that's like really what we're up to. So yeah, if you guys want to follow along with us to like see our journey, because I feel like what we're creating, I don't have a big model for what it looks like out in the world. Like I have an idea of what it could be, but I literally have no clue. I don't think we have a clue.
Yeah.
But
I kind of love that
anything we want.
Because it could be whatever we want.
Right.
And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we can create anything we want. So on my website, you can definitely find me at businessinspiredsolutions.co. You're going to see what we do and the pathway and the process that we take people through. Love this process. It's a process that I use in my corporate career, but it's just evolved and adjusted the more people I've built it with. You can see there's a ton of information on there, but that's because I believe people should be empowered to make their decision and not limited. Like, I believe you have a say in whether you want to know that, and I believe it's my responsibility to give you what you need to know if you want to say yes or learn more or not, which is a little bit of a different approach as well. As far as our event goes, you can definitely go back to that Empowered Leadership page. I do want to say this, and then we'll pass it on to Laura where you can connect with them some more. But yeah, that early bird special. So that's $299 until July 10th. And then after that, it will go up to the $499. Now, if you do need a payment plan, after July 10th, there will be a payment plan option where you can make a payment for $250, and then you'll make another payment for $250 within the next month, so that you can come to that. We wanted to make some options for people. And then we also have a special add-on there, with all our expertise and experience. We are offering inside of that VIP, you get a half hour with each one of us, so we can look at what's actually happening in your business. That half hour gets to be yours. So you get to get the support from us.
I did the math. That's an hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Dan, you're in.
Gotcha.
That's right. Thank you. So yeah, that's where you can register, and I will pass it over to Laura, where you can learn more about how to get in touch with her and the other things she does.
Yeah. So right now I've done HR, human resources, all levels, for years and years. And really what I'm getting asked and requested is a lot of employee relation things. So if you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, and you don't want to work with a client, you got to fire a client, or you got to let go of an employee, you got to do some training, you don't have any policies or job descriptions, you don't know how to onboard employees because you're starting out, you're small, all of those HR type things that keeps you having headaches at night. That's what I do for you. So you can focus on what's important for you, what your bread and butter is, what your expertise is. You go sell, you go do your service. Let me help you with the HR piece. That's what I do. So on my website, you'll get a lot of that, the resources. The other thing that's my favorite is the training and development. Exactly what we're talking about here is investing in yourself and investing in your team. So sometimes it could be communication, having tough conversations. I know there's sometimes where people have to have the conversation about bad body odor. Ew, nobody wants to have that. Everybody avoids that one. When I bring that one up, they're like, oh my God, I had to have that. It was so awful. It's just conversations that you don't want to have. Performance issues, behavior issues, all of that stuff. There's trainings. I can come to your organization, I come to your business, do consulting that way. So you can find that on Ignite Laura Flores Consulting on the website. Schedule some time with me. I'd love to hear how I can help your business in order to do that. Because that's, like we said, really we're here to serve. We're here to help, not hurt anybody, but really empower them to do their best for what it is that they want. Now, Cara.
Yeah. Okay, taking care of business. That
Love
kind
it.
of is my whole thing. I think I'm hilarious.
I loved it. First time I heard it, I loved it.
But it's also my framework. So one of the things that I do is the Cara method, which is clarify, assess, realign to achieve. And the idea is to become a failure expert. You have to recognize some of the things that are going to keep coming up over and over. That way they're not so surprising. So my whole thing is clarity. I do 15-minute clarity sessions, which you can buy in bundles. And here's the challenge that has been on the table, or the ROI guarantee. If your problem, whatever roadblock, and it used to be business, but I will literally take any roadblock in your life, in your business, in your relationships, any of them. If there is a roadblock that takes more than 20 minutes to get to a resourcefulness and a plan of action, I will gift you 90 minutes of coaching because you've got some serious shit to work on, and I'm in.
That's an hour and a half, guys.
Another hour and a half.
Another hour and a half.
I know.
You can stay, Dan.
Dan can be kept, yes. So it's been on the table for over 2 years. The closest anybody has come was a 19-minute session. It was a really specific question. How do I get 20 clients in 20 days? They came to a plan of action, and they had 18 out of the 20 at the end of that term. Because it really comes down to, you're the expert. And my genius is recognizing your genius and creating the space for you to be like, oh shit, yeah, I did know. okay, I absolutely do know what I can do and what I'm willing to do, and I'm going to go do that. So it starts with the clarity sessions. I can do one-to-one coaching. I also do training and development stuff, both on a one-to-one basis as well as group trainings. And I'm in. If you want to change the world, it's going to start with changing you, and I'm here for that.
Awesome, guys. I want to thank each one of you, Cara, Anna, and Laura, for coming out. This was a lot of fun. I think this is more fun than I anticipated. I really didn't know what to expect.
Like, this is boring. Empowered
No.
leadership.
I met these people at a weird networking event.
No,
and
but truth be
how's it
told, if it
gonna
wasn't
go?
for the network event, so shout out to Monica Sanchez.
Thank you,
for
Monica.
Absolutely.
Monica,
Also,
Network
it wasn't
Connection.
actually a weird event. It was a wonderful
Well,
event.
all events are a little bit weird, but if it wasn't for meeting you guys and seeing the personalities, if I just, hey, we're going to come out and do a leadership, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if that's my cup of tea. But you guys killed it. I had a blast. Guys, Cara's information, Anna's information, Laura's information is all in the bio of this video. There's also the link for the early bird special. Make sure you check them out because, I mean, just from hearing their their hour chat here, I think you can see that there's some years of combined knowledge, trial and experience, kind of ups and downs. So if you're stuck, you're not really sure what to do next, and if you're not willing to go throw a couple $100s at making your life a little bit better, you're probably going to stay kind of stuck. So guys, thank you so much. Let's get a group high five over there.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you. This is amazing.
Yes, Dan. I had a blast. This is cool. I love it.
And with that said, I'm Dan Wise. I almost said Federal Prison Time Consultant. Wrong company. Wise Media Group. People helping people. Communities Method. One day at a time. We will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.